Hello, Pisces. Welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm so happy to have you here. We are going to dive right into your reading today. I'm really excited to get a look here at what is going on for you. For Pisces, please, Spirit. For Pisces. We haven't done a reading like this in a while, so it came to me this morning and I was like, we're going to dive right into it. All right, here it is. For Pisces, please, Spirit, what messages do you have for Pisces? What does Pisces need to know right now? For Pisces, please, Spirit. For Pisces. Okay. In the near future, Pisces. Wow. Okay. So there's a very heavy emphasis on timing, Pisces. And it does look like you have more than one event happening, I feel. Wow. Please keep in mind, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave the rest, but also know that we are all on different timelines. So, you know, timelines in a general reading are very loose and up for interpretation. And, you know, we're all just in different places. So these aren't incredibly specific, but trust that everything is unfolding exactly the way that it's meant to, and that you do have a lot coming up before the end of the year, I would say, for most of you. Some of you may be searching for answers here, possibly about whether to let someone go, whether to change jobs, whether to move, whether to, you know, it feels like we're trying to figure out like maybe even our soul purpose for some people. There's like a lot of big questions here. Okay. Pisces, for some of you, you've been on a bit of a solo path for a moment here. And I believe this is to break a codependent pattern, or to break a pattern that isn't serving your highest and best good. You know, codependency and addiction and the devil energy all sort of go together, but they're kind of, I just want to say it like this, and I want to say, like, I want to wrap this in bubble wrap, what I'm about to say. Like, I want to say, like, please don't take this personally. This is just part of the human condition that every single one of us is grappling with, okay? It's not like you specifically, Pisces, are doing something wrong, or have done something wrong, or have a lower vibrational tendency. This is everyone. I could say this to every single person, right? We all have our tendencies, our patterns, our I kind of want to say weaknesses, but, you know, like our triggers, our vulnerable spots where, you know, we, as a human being, sometimes we want things to work, or we want companionship, we want closeness, we want connection. And so at times we will, if we think we have something and we don't want to be by ourselves, even if the something isn't perfect, maybe sometimes we'll stay engaged with it. And I don't mean like perfect, like anything is perfect, because nothing is perfect. We're human beings dealing with other human beings. Like, there's nothing perfect about that. That is perfectly imperfect, really. But it's like, even if your needs aren't being met, even like big things, you know, not huge maybe, but like big things, like you wish this would be different, or you've talked to this person over and over again and they don't seem to be changing, or they don't seem to be really taking into consideration what you're asking them to consider. You know, it's showing some level of, you know, non-reciprocity, really. Depending on the thing, right? But but we're staying, but we kind of sometimes stay with it, or we sometimes will, say, it's not maybe that big a deal, I'll let it go, or I see it, I know it, if something else happens, it alone maybe isn't the worst thing, so it's not bad enough for me to walk away, but like if something else happens, then I'll walk away, and then that something else happens and we go, man, that's two kind of low grade things that I'm dealing with, they're manageable, it's not killing me, it's okay, I really crave companionship and I really love this quality, this quality, this quality, and this quality, so I'll kind of tolerate this. There's just this energy of kind of having done that, maybe even a lot. And there's even this thing underlying that I'm picking up on right here that is like, maybe, no one's going to be perfect for me, or no one's going to have every single thing I'm looking for, or no one's going to see things exactly the same way I do. I'm going to have to make compromises. I'm going to have to, sort of reach outside my comfort zone, or accept things that maybe I prefer not to accept if I want to be in a connection. And is that true? I sort of think to a certain extent it is, but it is also what thing is true. I like, my husband's a little messier than I wish he was, you know what I mean? And, after 28 years, I've just, he's gotten a lot better over the years, but like, after 28 years, I just sort of know that like, okay, this is this, but it's messiness. It is like, and messiness is kind of a big deal because, anything that is outside us is affecting us inside. And I like order, and I like, well, I don't want to say I like order. I can go with the flow. I'm not like uptight or anything, but I like to walk in, I'm a Libra. I like to walk into my spaces, take a deep breath and be like, wow, this is gorgeous. You know what I mean? And, when there's a Diet Coke can on the table or the countertop or the thing, or something that he was carrying from one place to another and then set it down, and because he's always doing stuff, he's always doing something with the pool, or doing something in the garage, or fixing something, leaving a tool here or there, like there's just this random stuff as places, and I'm like, why did you put it down? Just keep it in your hand until you get to the garage and put it away, like not that big a deal. But like, he didn't learn that growing up. He wasn't taught that, I was. So, I just like, there are small things like that, which yes, I have to accept, right? But the big things, like knowing that I'm loved and cared for, being seen and heard, having an opinion that matters, like being, just, gosh, him letting me know on a daily basis that I am his top priority all the time. Yes, that happens constantly. So like, yeah, can I tolerate a little bit of messiness? Yeah. And I saw this once on Oprah Winfrey a long, long time ago. It was Gary Zukav that was like, yeah, nobody's perfect. So you have to kind of look at the weight that someone else is putting in your life with their non-perfection, and find a way to be grateful for it, and say, well, can I accept this Diet Coke can on the table or the nightstand or something, and be sort of almost, I don't want to say grateful for it, but kind of. And he says, like, when you're doing laundry, say, well, I'm so grateful I have these amazing kids and this amazing, person to care for, that, I have the money to afford clothes and a washer and a dryer and have it in my home and be able to wash and dry this, or, have something so convenient that I can run to and wash my clothes, or whatever, that I have clothes to wash, that I have a roof over my head, that, so even though it's work, and even though it is a weight in my life, I am so grateful for what that weight represents. And, I still have my moments, where I'm like, oh, please, like, don't leave anything lying around, because and nobody wants to be the person that walks behind somebody else and puts their crap away for them. Like, nobody. Even your 2-year-old, you don't want to be that person. That's why you teach your 2-year-old to put it away themselves. But there's just this energy of, there are acceptable things, and then there are things that are going to wear away at your fundamental being over time. And not being seen, not being heard, not being cared for, not knowing you're a priority, not being chosen, you know, someone, you know, perpetually sort of energetically draining you or making you feel less than so that they can feel more. Even if you know that that's what's happening there, you're going to get defensive. You're going to end up having a reaction. You're going to fight for yourself somehow. That's just our survival instinct. And you're going to develop different patterns as a result of that kind of change you. And that plant things within you that are not your normal nature, and that take away from your ability to be at peace, even in rest, even when not prompted. And so you want to be really careful when you're coming together with another person that the sacrifices that you're making are of a kind that don't, you know, fundamentally change who you are or your ability to kind of complete your soul purpose. You want to be with someone who supports your soul purpose and who supports you and who sees you and hears you and encourages you and, you know, will bolster you back up when the world has been unkind to you, you know, that you can come back to and get the support and the love that you need. And, you know, when we start moving into the arena of codependency, what that is I have given so much power to you because I really want to be in a connection. I want to stay connected, that I have assigned my happiness to you, and that I have programmed myself that I cannot be happy unless I have you, unless I am with you. And therefore, I have given you the power of my happiness to do with how you please. And, you know, that is a really difficult lesson to learn. And especially if we have grown up in an environment where that dynamic has played out in front of us, it makes us extremely weak and vulnerable to people that would manipulate and take advantage of that. But I feel like, you know, Pisces, you have been by yourself to kind of call your energy home, to reassign your happiness, to take those pieces and parts of yourself back and kind of put yourself back together. And to, when you do that, you know, it's like the 9 of Pentacles. It happens one hard-earned thing at a time. And it happens over the course of time. And it's a tremendous amount of work. And through that work and through that labor and that energy, it makes it so that when someone ever asks you to compromise something like that in order to stay in a connection, again, you will say no. Because you worked way too hard to get where you have gotten, to sacrifice it for anyone. You have something coming in regards to this. I feel it's the potential end of a soul of a solo path. It does feel like you have some kind of suitor coming in, whether it is a past person or whether it is a new person. It is someone I feel that will really respect your boundary around this codependent pattern, around your, you know, refusal to sacrifice these parts of yourself ever again. And there is even the feeling of like admiration for it. On the bottom of the deck, you have this dream talk. So it's possible that, you know, when you have a dream that you've been traveling like by train or plane or in an airport or a hotel or whatever, a lot of times that is some type of astral travel. Well, that's what I've read anyway. And so I offer that to you as a possibility, but you could be meeting someone spiritually before you're meeting them in real life. Or if this is a past person coming back around, you could be navigating and negotiating soul to soul and like the 5D before there is some kind of coming together. I feel like someone's going to be reaching out. It might even be like, maybe you gave someone your number a while ago, or maybe you met someone a while ago and they're just, it's like they'll just reach out, you know. I don't know. Or maybe this is that you are meeting them and they are reaching out. Okay, so on this solo path, you are really having an opportunity to let a lot of things come up and a lot of healing happen here. It feels like it feels like it's like kind of recognizing all of the things that take you down, all the ways in which we all self-sabotage ourselves, but it's kind of like realizing or recognizing all of the things that end up really pulling you under. And sometimes it's like, it really, like, this isn't just intimate relationships. This can also be friendships. This can also be family. But there does come this point where, you know, we have tolerated people in our lives or connections in our lives that have been subtly or overtly, you know, tearing us down or making us question ourselves or making us wonder whether we're worthy or not. Anything that makes you question your worth is not worth it. You know what I mean? For you to stay connected to, or at least that's my opinion of it. And you start to realize, like, I can keep going through this and pulling myself up by the bootstraps and getting back up again, or I can choose to stop going through this. And when you choose yourself and you say, I decide to stop going through this, it's the most difficult decision ever, because it immediately disconnects you from quite a few people. And, you know, some of them are worse than others. Some of them you're like, oh, I hate to lose that person. You know, I know that they may be an enabler or they may be like this, but I love them. Or, you know, and sometimes we'll try to hold on to one or two and let the rest go. And that usually ends up biting you in the rear, you know, because that person is like, I can choose this person or all 10 of these people. And most people don't have the fortitude or even the insight to look at what that choice is really costing them. I would rather have one true friend than 10 fake ones. You know what I mean? And if it was put to them like that, they may make that choice. But in the moment that they're seeing it, they're like, well, this is fun and this is more people, and, you know, and whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why that is coming up, but it is like, this message is hitting me in a lot of ways. And it's kind of like, you know, when you participate sometimes in things, you're complicit. And even if you don't participate maybe, but you don't say anything, or you don't walk away, or you know, you continue on that path, you know, you have a tendency to take on karma that really doesn't belong to you. Or that you wouldn't necessarily take on, lessons that you wouldn't necessarily have to learn in this life because of your proximity to other people whose lessons they are. And, you know, you're not holding the line for yourself and for your community or for what matters to you. it just feels like, Pisces, this meditation brings answers. Meditation is an incredibly healing place. And, sometimes meditation just allows us to separate emotionally, mentally, and physically from something enough for us to get the perspective that we really need on it, to see it for what it is. And I feel like, Pisces, you're really starting to see things for what they are. You're starting to see people, friendships, and maybe it's not even starting. Maybe you already have, and maybe this is like another set of days of healing, or days where it even becomes more clear. I mean, I know, like, I have walked away and I have healed, and for the most part in my life, I walk through life without thinking about it, without even associating myself with it. But with my own experiences like this, but at different times, I'll be cooking or vacuuming or driving or whatever, and it will hit me, like something will come up, an incident will replay in my mind, something someone said will replay in my mind, and I'll be like, wow, that was years before I actually disconnected. This was going on a long time. Or I'll see someone's disloyalty, when it happened and the result of it. And I will see other people's connections to each other, or, just how it all played out. And it really, like, exposes to me, what happened on a much deeper level, and where somebody, because a lot of times in life, when you love someone, or you're like, oh my God, I have this friend and I love them and I have such a good time with them and I'm able to rely on them in times of trouble, and sometimes that person is also jealous of you. Both of those things can be true. They can be a very good friend on one hand and then not such a good friend on another hand. And you're like, well, I'm always going to keep this person. I'm always going to be loyal to this person. I'll always have this person's back, because that's the type of person you are. But then it's like, this person is also cutting you down. I have a friend like that. Like, I have a friend who's an amazing friend. But then sometimes when she's feeling like crap about herself, or she needs something outside herself to change so that she can feel better about herself inside, she'll call me up and she'll say things to me that, like, just like randomly out of the blue, that, are, she'll say it in a way of like, oh, I care about you, that's why I'm telling you this. But it's like, nobody who cared about you, who really genuinely cared about you, would think that that would be an appropriate thing to say to you. You know what I mean? And I'm not stupid, you know what I mean? But especially when you're first friends with somebody, or, like, you're in that, like, honeymoon phase of friendship, which for me oftentimes lasts like a decade, you have someone so high on a pedestal that you don't even notice all these subtle digs and all these ways that this person is actually really knifing you in the back, or even in the front, because you're like, it doesn't feel good, but I love this person. This is the face of someone I love. And so you just kind of miss it, or you dismiss it. And then, as you move away from it, as you really do see it clearly and you heal from it, which, I really don't talk to that friend hardly at all. I mean, I don't ever initiate contact. They initiate contact with me still, and I'll still answer the phone because they have been there for me in really dark times. But I am always bracing myself, like, oh gosh, but the thing is that, that isn't, that has nothing to do with you. That has to do with them and getting their needs met at the time. And it is a reflection of them and their inability to process their own shit. And that the fact that they need to, call someone else and make them feel like shit so that they can feel better. And I can't ultimately believe that that does make you feel better. I have never tried it. I do not know if it works, but I do not ever walk around this world intentionally, kind of saying things that I know are going to hurt people. Not to say that I've never said anything that's going to hurt someone. Of course I have. it's just been always unintentionally, and I am sorry for that to whomever you are. But this is like, sometimes when we're in the throes of going through something difficult or having a difficult breakup of a friendship, of a family, of a relationship, you know, it's too much. We're sort of drowning in it, you know, and we're trying to sort of survive and just sort of get through, and we're in a foggy haze, and you know, there's all these emotions swirling around, and it's hard to sort of at that time just sort of pull everything apart and look at everything individually. But in order to heal it and to let it go, that's kind of what has to happen. So healing is not crossing a finish line, right? It is cyclical. So sometimes in these spaces, you know, especially when there's not a lot going on, you know, or when we're doing kind of a meditative activity like driving, like washing our dishes, like vacuuming, or like cooking something that we know by heart or whatever, these thoughts will pop in our head and we're like, gosh, where'd that come from? Well, it's coming into your consciousness because it's been stored in your subconscious, affecting the decisions that you've been making. And, you know, you're healing. And so it comes up for you to look at, not so that you can go down a wormhole and get all upset about it again and live through it again, but so you can look at it, so you can see it for what it is. And the thing about meditation is it gives you that distance so that you don't have to feel it. You can kind of look at it as the observer, as someone who's going, oh, whoa, that's what that was. Wow, you know, I forgot that happened. I forgot that person said that. You know, that didn't feel good at the time. I walked away upset about that, but I forgot about it. You know, and maybe it's because we were going through too much at the time, or maybe because it was too heavy, or maybe it's because we weren't ready for that level of enlightenment, or we just were not there yet. But now maybe we are. And when that happens to me, I always now try to take a moment to look at how far I've come, to look at where I am, that I'm in a place now that I can look at that as an observer, and that I can make a conscious choice to release it without having to relive it and re-feel it all and go through it all. And I think the more you treat it in that way of like observe, let go, be proud, you know, kind of energy, it sort of puts a nail in that coffin. It's sort of like, it's very much less likely to ever come up again. I can't tell you how much space I've cleared in the last even year and a half, just taking that approach to it, just saying, you know, I'm not even that person anymore. You know, I wouldn't even, you know, like, wow, you know, like I have come a very, very, very long way. I definitely do not let people treat me that way anymore. So this could be someone coming back from your past to apologize, to make some kind of offer. I don't know why this rose is making me feel like of a page of cups, but it's something that it feels like needed time and space. But I feel like Pisces, you have really evolved and changed and become so, I feel like, strong in who you are and what you believe and what you know, that you are sort of protected. You know, you have this divinely protected love here, and underneath it you have the free self. So it's kind of like you'll know what to do with it, you'll know how to handle it. And I do feel like for some of you, you may have someone coming back from the past, but you may already be engaged in some kind of connection, and this connection is divine. Like, it is divinely protected. It is something that you have in your arsenal to help protect you. You know, like I always can come home to my husband and to that love, and to know that that is like real unconditional love. and to know that I am lovable and I deserve that, you know, like I am capable of it. I can reciprocate it. I can have it. I can receive it. I can let it flow through me. I can give it away to as many people as I possibly can on YouTube and, you know, in the grocery store, in my, you know, anywhere that I can. I can be that, and not, you know, even if there are people who want to tear me down or who want to say whatever they want to say or want to treat me however they want to treat me, that's a reflection of them. It's not a reflection of me. And I don't even have to allow it to affect me. I'm like, man, wow, you got some issues. You got some work to do there. Like, I hope you're seeing this, you know? And I can pray about it for them, but that's about all I can do. I'm not going to stand there and talk myself until I'm blue in the face, defending myself, proving my worth, you know, doing anything. Like, that's on them to clear their own karma. But sometimes what you really need is the experience of having the affirmation that, yeah, you are lovable. Yeah, this is what unconditional love looks like and feels like, and that's not it. And you don't need that. You know, you don't need things that take you down and that teach you lessons that you didn't even need to learn because you have blood on your hands, because you were, you know, in proximity to this person, or you were constantly listening to this, or being drugged down by this, or trying to explain to this person why that's not a good idea, or, you know, why not treat someone that way, or, you know, whatever. And ultimately not be heard or seen or appreciated. You definitely have a major love coming in here, Pisces. You have perfect timing in our wildest dreams, attracting you in the final step. And on the bottom of the deck, you have catch me. Something is coming in. Something is catching you at the perfect time. And for some of you, this is going to be before a past person comes back. For some of you, this is just perfect timing all on its own. Like, you've gone through this process. You have come to a place of peace and acceptance with it. Enough of it has come up to be released. You've been on the solo path long enough. You may have even gotten the closure or the apology that you needed, even possibly through some kind of dream space where you and this person have worked it out that, like, hey, we're not going to be right for each other in this life. You know, go on, be happy, live, or I'm letting you go because, you know, I can't wait any longer. I want the 10 of Cups. I deserve the 10 of Cups. You aren't making the choices that are bringing you to a space where it can be with you. So, I'm opening up my receptor to what wants to come in, what's ready to come in. And something amazing is coming in. And it's something that you've attracted through the work you've done and through this solo path. I feel, Pisces, for a lot of you, you've been in a phase where you have been at your most powerful on your own. You've cleared a bunch of stuff. You've achieved a bunch of stuff. You've created a solid foundation for yourself. Like, I feel like this has been a very productive time, but it is coming to an end, and it is time for it to come to an end. You have so many timing cards. Someone's catching up with you, Pisces. So let's see what the tarot can tell us here. Yeah, so the things that haven't worked out, Pisces, have worked out. You know, they may not have looked like they worked out, but they did work out, you know. You know, I'm getting this feeling of, it's like, at one time I was really fighting for this. At one time I was holding on to this. But with this Eight of Pentacles next to it, kind of almost reviewing it, looking back on it with a candle in her hand, it's like I now have this deep understanding of why that didn't work and also what that was. You know, maybe it was a catalyst for your own growth. Maybe it was, you know, someone that you will always love, but really it could not have really worked out. Maybe it was something that was meant to be for that period of time in your life. Maybe it was that was the best you had experienced until that time. And from where you were and who you were at the time, it felt like this person was everything. But now that you've done this work, now that you've mastered yourself, now that you've gotten yourself to this incredibly stable place, you are looking at this and you're realizing that you learned a lot from it, but that maybe it wasn't ever really meant to be, that maybe it falling apart or it not working out was the highest and best thing at the time. You have this Seven of Cups, which gives me this feeling of like looking forward at all the possibilities and everything that can work out. And it's interesting because you may have been dealing with someone who treated you like you were an option, or like it may not have been an option with other people, but it could have been an option for their future. You know, they may not have committed, or they may have been like, I don't really know what I want, or, you know, I'm confused, whatever. And it really may have messed with your self-worth or your value, or it may have also made you kind of feel like there was an opening there for you to prove your worth to this person, or for you to convince this person that the future that you could have together was worth it. And that's something that you would never do now, because now you know your worth and you know your value, and you know that if someone doesn't see it, they're not, that isn't for you to prove. It's not your problem. It's not a reflection of you in any way. And that can be, it's probably more of a statement of how that person sees themselves rather than, and their ability to see their own worth. You know, because if someone doesn't see the value of love in their future over everything else, then maybe they're not your person. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's not for you. They'll figure it out at some point, probably, or they won't. That's their choice though. But you know, I don't know, personally, I look at my husband and I think, my God, you know, if I was homeless on the street, if I was homeless on the street and I looked over and I had him, I'd know we would be okay. I'd know we were going to make it. And when I look at him, I'm like, that is home. That is my person. That is my safety. That is where I'm coming to all of the time, no matter what, in happiness, in sadness, in grief, in, you know, everything. I'm coming to this, you know, and this is all that matters to me. And so jobs come and go. And, you know, you're going to hold that space for that long at that place. And then that time is going to come to an end and people will forget you, you know? I mean, I hate to say that, but like, they're not looking out for your best interest. They are like, what can I get? I mean, and that's not all places, certainly. But I'm just saying that what I mean is, you can't count on it. It's not always going to be home. It's temporary. And, you know, you don't even want to work, I would think, until you die, you know? I can think of so many things to say right there, like your partner may also pass away, or, you know, everything is always in change. We can't get so attached to things, but all I'm saying is that, you know, a career is important. Having money is important. Being able to support yourself is important. But the ability to be loved, you know, and to be cared for and to know you're not alone, that is important too. You know, with the Nine of Cups in reverse, clarifying this Two of Cups, it's making me feel like only one person could be happy at a time in this connection. Like, you know, one person sucks all the energy out of the room. You know, one person is like, I have to have what I want, and there's no compromise. You know, their happiness is their priority, and so everything goes to making them happy. And that isn't a relationship. Not really. I mean, not really. With the Eight of Pentacles here with Justice in reverse, there is this acknowledgement of things that are uneven, things that are unequal. But there's also this acknowledgement of, you know, the love we give is never wasted. It always comes back to us. And so if we have given and given and given in situations that haven't been equal or haven't been even, that love is still coming back to us. It may not come from the person we gave it to, but it is coming back to us. One way or another, those are the scales of justice. And that is what that means. That is what the universe provides. And no, life is not fair. And I'm not saying life is fair. You know, I'm not making any gross generalization there. But when it comes to energy output, you get energy input. And that is the crux of the balance in the universe. And you have this High Priestess on the bottom of the deck, and Pisces, this just represents you at your highest and best, you know, listening to your intuition, sitting in your power, not needing to explain yourself, not needing to change anything or, you know, control anything or manipulate anything or hold on to anything that's not meant for you. It's you understanding and being at a place of peace and acceptance that sometimes the things that don't work out did work out in your highest and best good. And that even if you don't see it now, you will see it at some point. It will become clear to you. You know, I do feel like you have this past person who, you know, it's like with the Queen of Wands, I love the Queen of Wands, right? You know, she's a manifestor. She's calling what she wants to her. She's not chasing it. She's attracting it. But there is this energy of, you know, desire and passion and things that are a little bit maybe more superficial than, like, say, a cup. And you know, everything is on a spectrum, so there's no judgment here, but it's kind of like that someone being attracted to you just for that is not ever going to really work. It's not sustainable. And, you know, at times we really want to be that person that's so attractive and that, you know, kind of has all eyes on them or has all these options or opportunities because they're so attractive or whatever. But really, in reality, that comes with a lot of inherent problems. It comes with jealous people. It comes with a lot. And I think, Pisces, you all have embodied that to one degree or another at different times and spaces. And it's kind of like, it's something that sort of hems you in, where it's like, that's all you can see. You get attracted to me and you see my physical beauty, or you desire me for some, you know, because I'm flirtatious or because I'm funny or I'm creative or I'm, you know, any of those things, right? And then that's all you see, and that's all you see me for. And I'm a whole person here. There's like a lot more to me. But you've instantly put me in this box of, oh, you know, they're attractive, or, oh, you know, whatever, but you aren't seeing me completely. You aren't seeing everything that I have to offer. With the Hangman, it's interesting because I feel like you're getting this perspective. Look at this beautiful energy for a Pisces reading. You have the Hangman and the High Priestess on the bottom of the deck. I mean, I love it because to me it's saying, you know, Pisces, you really have come full circle. You really have come home to yourself in your strongest positioning. And you are seeing things very clearly, and you have looked back on the past, and you are having a deep understanding that, you know, you may have been attracting people to you that could only see you for this, but that ultimately were kind of prisoners in their own space, and therefore would always be putting you in a box and putting you in an unfair, you know, prisonership, you know, of just only allowing you to be this. So it's like you're letting it go. You're releasing yourself from it. And I also feel like this is representational of your past person, that, you know, they feel they have lost something that they really desire, someone that they really want to be with, and they've lost them because they've been in their own prison. I do think this person is getting a new perspective, and they are getting some enlightenment on it. But it's like, Pisces, you don't want to deal with people who are caged or who are chained or who trap themselves in and are stagnant, because it only gets you into situations that can't grow and that can't develop alongside you and evolve as you evolve. And so you're not looking for this. You're letting this go. Like at one time, I feel like this was attractive to you, and you may have even been trying to attract this in. But now you don't want just a partner or companionship. You want it all. You want someone who's as multidimensional as you are, and who has the chance to see you as multidimensional as you are. Woof. Wow. Okay. I'm going to put this down like this. This Eight of Cups came out upright, and then it fell on the floor. I don't know if you heard that, but it fell on the floor, and when it landed on the floor, it was in reverse. And so it's interesting because I do feel like you walking away from someone did trigger them. It did trigger like the moment they realized they lost you, and that they wanted you. It's like it affected their ego. That's what I'm getting. And it crumbled. Like it brought them to their knees. And I think it caused this person to kind of take some time to really look at the past situation and really look at their own selfishness, is how I feel like, where they were not compromising. There was no give and take to the connection. It was all me, 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 me. It was very unfair. And it has not been made right. Like with Justice still in reverse on the Eight of Pentacles, you have busied yourself with other things. You've been working on yourself, glowing up, mastering yourself, doing some pretty big stuff. And, you know, while this person was trapped in their own head, in a world that they created for themselves of overthinking, where, you know, just letting their thoughts kind of pick them apart. And I feel like they are kind of coming to a place where they're starting to see things clearly. They're starting to have some kind of enlightenment. And, you know, with this Eight of Cups falling for the second time in reverse, I feel like someone who has walked away is coming back. I am going to take one on the Tower. King of Wands coming out sideways of the High Priestess. Dang. So this could be a fire sign. You also have Scorpio energy here and Libra energy and a lot of Pisces energy. But this is someone who may have known what they wanted or may have been super attracted. You have the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands. Like they may have been very attracted to you, but sort of not willing to take action on it. not really willing to like claim it, come forward, take it the way that a King of Wands would take it if they were upright. And I think you kind of got very quiet. You got kind of very elusive. You kind of pulled your energy back and you were like, all right, fine. You didn't fight for it. You didn't cling to it. You kind of put yourself in this Eight of Pentacles mode and you were like, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How is this energy serving me? You know, what is happening here that is the gift? Like, where is it? Show it to me. I want it. You have the 10 of Pentacles on the bottom of this deck, which is telling me that I feel like this King of Wands had this reality check. They may have been someone who was like, listen, I can't, you know, my career, my job, my this, my that. And because they were really self-centered, like I just keep getting that. And they had this wake-up call. They had this realization that with you, they would have a hell of a lot more than by themselves. And that, you know, building this thing with you was a great investment. You know, it's kind of like having the opportunity to invest in like DoorDash or something and then being like, you know, there are so many stocks that I could choose from that I'm going to have to think about this for a minute. And then boom, the next time you turn around, it's completely unaffordable and you would be a millionaire if you would have invested in it. It's like that kind of energy right here. Yeah. And you know, doesn't that hurt when you're slaving away working and you're like, damn, I had the opportunity to invest in DoorDash. And instead of telling the story about how you made $1 million overnight because you invested in DoorDash, you're telling the stories of how you could have been a millionaire overnight because you had the chance to invest in DoorDash and you didn't. That's heartbreaking. And telling that story over and over again makes you relive it over and over and over again. And that's what I feel like, whether this person is actually speaking it out loud, this person's mouth is open, they're yelling into the wind, or whether it's just in your own mind, telling yourself, oh my God, I had it all. I had my divine partner, I had the Queen of Wands, I had everything that I wanted. And I was selfish and I was self-centered and I didn't even see it and I didn't even understand it. And, you know, maybe I just took it for an attraction rather than understanding that it was the whole deal, that it wasn't even just an attraction. It was that I would be more successful. We would be more successful. We would have more if we were building it together rather than anything that I could build without that person. And it's, you know, it's making this person want to close out this cycle and balance the scales and give to it and give everything that they can to it. But the feeling it may be too late. This person is really seeing things very, very clearly. You know, this energy of not knowing what to commit to or why somebody would ever choose to commit or what the advantage is of committing, you know, because they were looking at everything through such a skewed perspective of self-centeredness. Like, why would I give anything if I don't have to? Like, why would I do that? I'm going to walk away from it. You know what I mean? Or I'll let it go. Like, fine, if that's what you need, go find it with some other blow. But like, I don't need to do that. And then it's like, oh my God, you know, I had the Queen of Wands in my hands. Like, what was I thinking? What was I doing? I don't desire anyone else like that. It didn't even occur to this person, I think, that they could really lose you on the grander scale. You know, they thought, like everybody else, you would just hang around waiting for them to decide, waiting for them to figure it out, and you didn't. You invested in yourself and you became even better. This person's afraid it's too late to give to the situation. And I think they're even afraid that they don't have enough to give to the situation. With the Six of Pentacles and you're showing up as the Eight of Pentacles, there's a lot of fear around that. And then you have the Sun card on the bottom of the deck. I mean, this person's starting to see things clearly. You know, they really were thinking of themselves as the prize instead of seeing you that way. They were looking in everything that happened in every way about how they were better or how they had the upper hand. And so in their mind, they were like, why would I compromise on anything? I don't need to. That person needs to make all the compromises because I'm better. I'm the King of Wands. And it's like, whoa, that is not how relationships work. That's not, they're seeing this clearly. They're seeing their own selfishness, their own refusal to give, their own placing their happiness, their, above everyone else, and it's like, I even feel, because that Nine of Cups was in reverse, that it's like it was a product of their own unhappiness. It was a product of their own inability to be emotionally content, to accept love and to give love and to prioritize love and emotional happiness until they had it and lost it. Oy. Sucks. Yeah, you've got the Sun card, the King of Cups, and the Hierophant here. This person is like, whoa, I actually really cared about this. I really actually had deep emotions about this. I actually should have committed to it because then I wouldn't be without it now. This is like a major 360-degree shift or whatever, 180-degree shift, whatever it is. A lot is happening to this person, a lot. There's a lot of lightning kind of energy here. It seems to be happening actually rather quickly, where, they may be ascending through this process, through this breakup, through this realization. And they're definitely, though, seeing things so clearly. They're also healing some things here. And they're also having a major spiritual awakening. I feel like you have the Sun card twice here with the Hierophant and the King of Cups. And this is around their own emotion. This is around what matters and what's important, and prioritizing feeling and, prioritizing processing their own feelings and having a safe space to express those feelings or have those feelings. And even it's allowing themselves to be loved. To receive love sometimes is the hardest thing of all. This person is regenerating. They are coming back. I don't mean necessarily coming back around. I mean coming back from a dead inside state. They're contemplating coming back around, but they shoot themselves in the foot. They want it. They want it, but, with the Four of Pentacles, they're still holding back. They're, in order to have this, they have to completely let their guard down, and they have to release an old way of doing things or an old way of being completely in order to have this fresh start. And they're ready to close out this cycle. It has been very burdensome, and it has actually blocked them in a lot of ways that they're getting clear about now. But their mind defeats them. Their mind keeps them on a battlefield. Their mind keeps them in a place where, maybe they come to the conclusion of yeah, I want this. I'm going for this. I'm doing it. And then their mind, because their ego, they haven't completely released their ego. They're seeing everything so clearly, and they are definitely having a spiritual awakening. But there is something that they are really struggling to let go of. I think it's their pride and their ego. It's like they don't want to be on the opposite end it's like they have experienced relationship dynamics as there is a master and a slave kind of energy. And they don't want to be the slave. They don't want to be like, gosh, I have all these feelings for you. Let me make this crystal clear to you. Let me commit to you. And then, end up like sacrificing their autonomy to the situation. Woo! This is a burdensome cycle. They're definitely hitting a brick wall here. They're hitting the edge of it. They're hitting the end of it. This is where they're going to have to completely let go of these energies in order to be able to have this new beginning, in order to start a new cycle. I feel like they're going to have to, because they can't keep butting up against this wall forever. It's becoming too overwhelming. I guess I'm going to go one more. This person is making progress. You have the 4, 5, and 6 of Cups all coming out here, which is insane. So they are definitely making progress. They're feeling really bored and discontent. They're just kind of a mess. They're looking for something to save them. They are really focused on the crap that didn't work out in the past. They're feeling kind of sorry for themselves. They have a lot of regret. They have a lot of, just like, it's like wanting the impossible. Like, I wish I could turn back time and do it differently. Like there's all this time and energy being spent on, if I would have known then what I know now, these useless, fruitless, draining, dumb, I don't want to say dumb, that's so judgmental, but like, it's like spending all this time going, well, if I only would have had this enlightenment before that would have happened, then I would have treated that differently. But like, they're still holding on to a little bit of an ego, or some pride, where it's like, I don't want to just suck it up and go in there and be like, I messed up. I didn't handle the situation right. This is where I'm at now. Can we fix this? That seems like too big a risk. They're still, it's like, it's almost become easier for them to sort of focus on what went wrong and what they wish they would have done, rather than what they can still do. And, with the 6 of Cups here, it's like they are thinking about this constantly. You are always on their mind. This connection is always on their mind. Your loyalty, what could have been, where they would be right now if they hadn't jacked it up way back there. All those things are on their mind, and nothing is exciting them right now. Nothing is getting their attention. Nothing is like making them feel alive. Nothing is comparing to the situation that they had with you. They're gonna have to let go of this 5 of Cups energy because okay, first of all, it's sideways, so it's in transition, but also you just, if you stay in the 5 of Cups for too long, you just get completely consumed by it and become depressed. And maybe they are depressed. Maybe they are a little bit depressed, because the more we focus on the past and the things we can't do anything about, that's exactly where it takes you, to depression. So you have this 3 of Pentacles with the clarifying the 5 of Cups. You may have worked with this person literally, or it may have felt like you were building something important here, or there was a foundation and it was kind of solid. You could see the vision, you could see the plan. You were putting effort into it. They were putting effort into it. It was getting somewhere when they just crapped out of it. And there's a lot of regret about that, of, you know, what happened to all of that work? Is it still there, or do you have to start over? Or, you know, I see that being on this person's mind, you know, thinking about it, and just the regret of, man, we had made all that progress and I just let it go, you know, I just let it slip through my fingers. With the Six of Cups and the King of Wands here, it's like, I know what I want now. In retrospect, looking back, you know, this is what I want. Pisces is what I want. But the King of Wands upright is someone that is going to take charge of the situation, and they are going to show up. With this Ace of Swords here, this is a conversation. This is bringing clarity to the situation and putting it all on the table. I don't know, Pisces, but I do feel like with all these timing cards and this energy of, you know, within the next few months, the near future, perfect timing, you got a lot of things changing for you, but you definitely have a past person who is definitely going to try to catch up with you. If you're dealing with a water sign, you're getting guarded, passion, doubting. I don't care what people think anymore. I want a future with you. Blocking. All right, if you are dealing with a fire sign, you're getting be patient with me, please. Hopeful. You deserve more. I am working on myself. You hit me out of nowhere. I've been having weird dreams about us. And if you're dealing with an earth sign, guilt, my karmic story is ending. Suddenly, all the songs I hear are about you. I am overcoming my fears. What we have is soul recognition, and I want to be vulnerable with you. If you're dealing with an air sign, angry, my nerves got the best of me sometimes. I had no idea you would end up meaning so much to me. I can't stop thinking about you. Nostalgic, and you are the only one who truly gets me. This is what I have for you. I really hope it helps. I hope it brings you some peace and clarity. If it does, let me know. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I really do love to hear from you, and I do really appreciate your support. Until next time, guys, all my best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.